Hello there. Yvette Cooper can spout whatever she likes, but the rest of us know she's totally misleading us. This is pure, lying, pre-local election posturing. The Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is telling us that she is setting up new laws so that those who enter the country and commit sexual offences and are placed on the sex offenders register will no longer be considered for refugee status, allowing the Home Office, she claims, to be able to deport such offenders, even if they get a sentence less than 12 months long. But all that matters not one jot if the courts will not allow them to be deported anyway. More tinkering around the edges to make it look like one of our uniparty, open borders, UK-hating governments wants to stop untrammelled immigration, be it legal or illegal. We all know that our judiciary will never deport anyone with a right to a family life, or who we might end up deporting to what they deem as a dangerous country. And heaven forbid that one of those offenders has offspring that only likes UK chicken nuggets, or has a cat or something. That means they will be staying in the UK anyway, failed asylum claim notwithstanding. And what would the government do if they can't claim to know which country the offender came from anyway? The only way we'd find that out is if we trawled the English Channel for all those passports that get chucked into it by the rubber boat occupants. It won't be long before we have a new mid-channel island made out of passport papier-mâché. And what if they are wrinkled and bearded and they claim to be under 18? So they will stay in the country with a permanent leave to remain, whatever they subsequently get up to. And there is no way Yvette Cooper's new rules will have any effect on judges' decisions, unless it involves scrapping the UK Human Rights Act and leaving the European Convention on Human Rights. And as Keir Starmer's Labour government has no intention of doing that, then these new rules will achieve the square root of all. It's a dead duck policy. And our ministers are now spouting on about forcing judges to acknowledge that the safety of the public outweighs the human rights to a family life or risk of persecution, so these serious criminals must be returned to their original country. I doubt the Supreme Court nor the ECHR, if it had to go that far, would agree, because the ECHR is the framework, and our Supreme Court rules accordingly. And if those human rights laws put the needs of vile human beings from other parts of the planet above the safety of UK citizens, then as far as they're concerned, so be it. Now, Yvette Cooper said that we are restoring order to a broken asylum system that has been mired in delay and dysfunction for far too long, and we are strengthening our system to make sure that the rules are respected and enforced. Sex offenders who pose a risk to the community should not be allowed to benefit from refugee protections in the UK. We are strengthening the law to ensure these appalling crimes are taken seriously. Yeah, we've heard it all before. Now, I will point out that although Parliament is supreme where law-making is concerned, it is the Supreme Court that both interprets and makes judgments on those laws. And no one can challenge those judgments. Not the Home Secretary, not the Prime Minister, no one. The only way those judgments can become null and void is by a change in statute law, with the only way to change the law that would force the judge's hands being to strip out current human rights laws that can be weaponised against us. That is, scrap the Human Rights Act and dispense with the services of the ECHR. Nothing else will do. Nothing. It has been proven time and again, and Yvette Cooper knows it, that while the ECHR, backed up by the Human Rights Act, remains in place, coupled with our woke judiciary, our laws actively protect foreign criminals from deportation. It's that simple. In fact, those laws prevent us from stopping them from entering the country in the first place. And our cynicism can only be heightened when we hear that the Labour Attorney General, Lord Hermer, he of "we must obey international law to the letter" fame, claims that these new laws are compliant with international law, like the European Convention on Human Rights. If that's the case, then we know these new laws will not ultimately facilitate any deportations, only continue to prevent them. And Yvette Cooper says, nor should asylum seekers be stuck in hotels at taxpayers' expense during lengthy legal battles. That is why we are changing the law to help clear the backlog and the use of asylum hotels and save billions of pounds for the taxpayer. No, they won't be in hotels, because the Home Office is trawling the country right now, trying to sign up every landlord it can, on very favourable terms, into a 5-year contract to put asylum seekers in flats and houses of their own. And I wonder how many of these 1.5 million new homes over 5 years promised by Angela Rayner have been built so far. All of this is gaslighting and lying of the highest order. But I will point out that the negotiator says that this Home Office 5-year rental scheme was started by the Tories, not by Labour. And also adds, the deal includes leases of 5 years or more, guaranteed no void periods or rent arrears, and repairs and maintenance provided by Serco, which also pays the property's utility bills and the tenant's council tax. Landlords also do not pay any fees or property management costs to the company. No, the taxpayer picks up the whole tab. We are ruled by a uniparty system that puts the whole world before us. And don't tell me this won't cause the price of buying and renting a home to go through the roof as a result. And I wonder how many landlords are looking at the government offers and thinking to themselves, is it worth evicting that nice family I already rent to on a no-fault basis, so I can earn more dosh? Maybe this was partly behind Labour's decision to water down their new rental laws, where a fault-free eviction would have been outlawed. Question: if Nigel Farage's Reform UK wins control of a council, will they publicly and actively refuse to house asylum seekers in their area, or just end up saying, there is nothing we can do about it? Finally, please like, subscribe and comment below, and a big shout out to our Patreon supporters, and thank you for watching.